Hello fellow Helldivers. Today I wanted to make a relatively short video talking about a couple things that I don't think people are talking about in regards to Helldivers 2. The first thing has to do with weapons in the game, or actually more accurately, weapons not in the game, and the second thing has to do with the Galactic War Map. I have been playing Helldivers 2 quite a bit, and I've unlocked every single gameplay relevant item in the game, so all the guns, grenades, boosters, on both the normal and premium warbond. If you're curious, it takes 2015 medals to unlock everything in the normal warbond, and my basic arithmetic tells me it'll take 686 medals to unlock everything in the premium warbond. Now what I find interesting is, if you go over to the armory, you'll actually see that there are empty slots in all three categories, the primary, secondary, and grenade. So there's only 15 out of the 29 primaries unlocked, 3 out of the 8 secondaries unlocked, and 5 out of the 10 grenades unlocked. This of course begs the question, where are the rest of these primaries, secondaries, and grenades? The obvious answer is that they are coming in future warbonds. I've heard that there's supposed to be a future warbond the second Thursday of every month. I can't confirm that, but I have heard people say that the devs said that, I think in the Discord, which is pretty exciting that there are this many planned weapons coming to the game. So the other thing that I find interesting that I don't see people talking about is the galactic map. And what I mean by that is all the planets that you can look at right now. All the planets are on the map, and you can zoom in and you can look at all of them. These are all places that we will potentially be going over the course of this galactic war. So let's start off by talking about some of the naming conventions that we can see here. So the simplest names are the planets that are just one-word names. There are many of these across the galaxy. Then we have planets with two-word names, so these are often shared. So here we have planets named Prime. There are several planets named Prime, a lot of them actually. We also have planets with the name Bay. There are many planets like this as well. Then we have Secundus, which is Latin for second. This is not a comprehensive list of all of these shared names, just the ones that were more prevalent. Next, we have planets with a number at the end. Some of these have a dash in between the name and the number, and some of these just have a space. Similarly, there are planets with Roman numerals at the end. There are actually many of these. Almost all of them have a space. There are actually only 2 planets that use Roman numerals and a dash. One of them is Pandion XXIV, and the other is Charbal VII. The last naming convention that I'm going to bring up here is planets with 2-word names where the second word is unique. 2 examples of this would be Malevelon Creek and Seychelles Beach. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's do something a little more interesting and look at individual planets of interest. We will start off with some planets around Super Earth that all share Liberty-themed names. So we have Freedom's Peak, Prosperity Falls, and Fort Justice. Now this next planet I could have put in the last category, but I'm choosing to put it in the next category, which is planet names that are references. Obviously, Helldivers has many references, it wears them on its sleeve. I am picking a handful of possible references to point out here. The first of which is New Haven, which could be a reference to Jak and Daxter. In Jak and Daxter, there's a city called Haven City, and one of the districts in Jak 3 specifically is New Haven. Both Helldivers and Jak and Daxter are Sony properties. New Haven is a residential sector in a totalitarian, futuristic city. It's not too far off from the kind of thing that Helldivers is going for. One of New Haven's main features is the waterways, the canals that run through the district, and we can see that the planet looks primarily to be a water planet. According to the Jak and Daxter fandom wiki, in reference to New Haven as a district, it says here that its primary point of interest was the Freedom HQ. Next, we have New Stockholm. We can see on the official Arrowhead Game Studio website that the studio is based in Stockholm, so this one just kind of makes sense. Similarly, we have Oslo Station. Oslo is the capital of Norway, If you didn't know, Norway and Sweden are right next to each other. Stockholm is the capital of Sweden. Next, we have the East Iridium Trading Bay. To me, this seems like a reference to the East India Trading Company, which would totally make sense given the colonial nature of the whole galactic war. My understanding is that iridium is used in the manufacturing of nuclear weapons, or at least can be, making it also a reference to the nuclear ICBMs that you launch during the missions. Next, we have Acrux 9 and Acrab 11. Acrux and Acrab are both real stars. I couldn't find anything specifically related to Acrab 11, but according to this fandom wiki, Acrux 9 is a Star Trek reference, and it says here that Acrux 9 was a holding of the Romulan Star Empire and was considered a friendly port of call by the 24th century Romulan Imperial fleet. In Star Trek, the Romulans are kind of the bad guys, or one of the groups of bad guys. They expand their territory through war, they put a big emphasis on their military, they're xenophobic. So, of course, nothing like Super Earth. The last reference we're going to be looking at is Pathfinder 5. The Arrowhead developers have talked openly about how they've taken inspiration from tabletop games like Warhammer 40k and Dungeons & Dragons. Pathfinder is a variant of Dungeons & Dragons. I decided to Google Pathfinder 5 specifically just to see if it was a more specific reference. The Pathfinder wiki comes up with Pathfinder issue 5, which is a comic book. I have no idea if they were trying to make this kind of specific reference or not, but there's that information if you want it. And the last group I'm going to talk about are planets that have to do with the first Helldivers or just Helldivers in general. So you can see we have Outpost 32 here. This is a meme within the community. Around Helldivers 2 you can find Remember Outpost 32 posters. And finally we have Cyberstan. Cyberstan was the homeworld of the cyborgs from the first game. The automatons have essentially taken the place of the cyborgs in the second game. I do believe we'll probably see them again at some point, considering that their homeworld is in here and they're still in the lore. Interestingly, the homeworld of the Terminid, Kepler Prime, does not seem to be in the game. Neither does the homeworld of the Illuminate, who were the other enemy faction from the original game. And there you have it, the two things that I think that people are not talking about this game right now. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.